Hello, friends. I have like 62 talks on YouTube, but they're all about things that I'm interested in, topics. But I've never given a talk that was really personal. I've been feeling really compelled to do this talk recently, though, because I've looked on YouTube and I have not seen anybody talking about the type of things that I went through and how they coped with it. So I thought that I would share because there might be somebody out there that this could help. The problem that I went through with is that I lost my entire circle of friends back in the 90s. I lost 27 of my friends. I don't know, I've talked to some people online later on that were like in New York that lost more or something like that. But I've never met anybody personally that has gone through the type of loss that I went through. And I'm going to be talking in this talk, sharing with you how I coped. And I did it in very unusual ways, in ways that may not work for you, but it worked for me. One of the things that I think I will share that will give you a sense of how things have changed is that when I moved to Seattle, I moved to Capitol Hill, and I've always lived on Capitol Hill, which is close into downtown. And in the area where it's all apartments, which is about half of the hill. When I moved here, it was really pretty much like the Castro in San Francisco. I would say 25-30% of the whole neighborhood was gay. After AIDS, there are hardly any gays that you run into. And one of the things that really signals it for me is that I live in a retirement home here on Capitol Hill. And if all of the people that were on Capitol Hill had aged like they normally would and had lived to be my age, this building that I'm in would be probably 20-30% gay if it was typical of the neighborhood. There are only, to my knowledge, 4 gay men that live in this building of 200 people. So this gives you an idea of how things have been decimated. I do have some gay friends my age now, but all of them were in relationships or they were just not having sex back in the 90s. And they didn't know as many people as I did. I knew a lot of people that were getting around, shall we say. And my best friend, Jerry, he was the first that I lost. And I was able to properly mourn him. I could cry, I could go to his funeral, I could think about him, I could miss him. But then all of a sudden, everybody just started dropping like flies. And it was also scary because, I was out there in the dating field just like they were. And even though I was doing safe stuff, it still was terrifying. And I postponed getting my HIV test for a long time because I was just petrified. But luckily, that was not something that was in the cards for me. So all of these people kept dying, and how I ended up dealing with it was when people died, they were gone. I didn't think about them anymore. It's the only way that I could cope. It just stopped. No mourning. The one thing that I did do that I found that really helped me was I like, as you see in the background, I like foofy, antique-y sort of things. And I had bought this beautiful antique-looking urn that was very beautiful. And a friend of mine looked at it and he said, well, that looked like a funeral urn. And that just really hit me very hard. I think it was something my subconscious had led me to get. Because I ended up making sort of a shrine. I had that urn, and then I had a painting that was really beautiful. I love pre-Raphaelite stuff, and I had one of the death of Icarus, and it was these women that were mourning Icarus with the wings. It was just really beautiful. And I put those two things together, and then I would put out pictures of my friends who passed. And I had that up there for probably a decade. And I think subconsciously it sort of allowed me to handle these passings in a way that I could sort of deal with, because it was just too much. It was sort of like, I guess, people in war probably go through things like this, but I've never met anybody that did. I have a lesbian friend that did Reiki massage on a lot of people who were dying of AIDS, but it's a different thing when you're ministering to somebody, and somebody who had been in your social circle, I think. So this went on for quite a while. In fact, up until recently, now that I'm older, people that I die regularly, and I've had a couple of lady friends die of late, and it was still the same thing. When they died, they were gone. It was just like, I just don't think about them anymore. One of the real beautiful things about getting older that my friends didn't get to go through, and that I'm so grateful for, is that it gives you time, and it gives you time to heal. And finally, I think my soul wanted to start dealing with this in a way, and it wanted to bring it back in a way that I could handle it. And there were three or four things that really worked for me. One was I started watching shows on near-death experiences. Now, I had read a book on this back in the 70s, but back in the 70s, that's one book. Hardly anything else. There was no internet. I read the book, I was impressed with it, but I just sort of put it on the back shelf in my mind. But then all of a sudden now, people are having heart attacks or getting in accidents, and they have such really good stuff at the hospital now. They can bring them back. And these people will be dead for 5 to 10 minutes, and they come back and they share what it's like. And listening to this really started, shall we say, it's not the right word, but it's, shall we say, fleshing out my friends' experiences and bringing them more at home into my reality that they're still here. And then I have some wonderful new friends, and two of my friends recommended that they really enjoyed watching mediums, and so I've started watching the Long Island medium and Tyler Henry, the Hollywood medium. They're just so wonderful, and I think one of the things that's so healing about that for me is I can watch it and I can see people who are allowed to grieve normally. They're sitting there crying over that they lost these people, and they get comfort over it. And it sort of allows me to get something that I missed, that I couldn't do. And that really helped. And then I have a friend, Carolyn. She was one of the ones that told me about these mediums. And she is very psychic. And I had handed her, she's able to tell what somebody's like by just looking at a picture. She's got a real gift. And I gave a picture of my friend Andy, who was one of the closest friends of mine that passed. This was a long time ago. And a little bit about Andy, he was just sort of, we were never partners, but he was the love of my life back then. And he got AIDS, and shortly before he died, he was living with his parents in the Midwest, and he wanted me to come see him. And so I went to see him, and he was just a shell of his former self. But it was one of the things I was most happy about, that I was able to get real closure with him. But because of all the stuff I went through, I just haven't really thought about him in a long time. And she looked at this picture of him and she said, he's like a soulmate to you. And that just hit me like a ton of bricks. And all of a sudden, almost instantly, especially after all of this other stuff that I've been telling you about with the near-death stuff and the mediums, all of a sudden, Andy just came back so strong to me. I could really put him back into the puzzles fitting into the pieces of my life that have been missing him. And it's really wonderful. And it's also, this new thing has really worked with my parents. And I'm able to make real peace with them and feeling as if my parents are, I was a real fuck up when I was younger, before they died. And now I've really got myself together. I'm a very happy person and I have a wonderful group of friends. And now I really, after seeing all these things that I've been getting in touch with, I really believe my parents have seen this and they know this and that they're happy for me. That really means a lot. It's just as a huge part of my life that I feel I have finally embraced again. One last thing that really has helped me is I had read tarot years ago, but I got a little obsessive with reading about the future. But I decided I wanted to get back into tarot again. But prohibition about doing anything in the future. I don't want anything in the future. And I don't really need to know, because I'm very happy with my life and what's coming down the pike. But I wanted to use the tarot to get in touch with my past relationships that I've lost. And it's been very, very effective. It's really helped. And the cards have really come out laying in ways that gave a lot of meaning to these relationships. Now, none of these ways might work for you. I'm a very odd person. I do things my own way. But hopefully it might give some comfort to somebody out there. There's got to be somebody who's been through the type of loss that I have and maybe had some of the similar reaction that I did. What I'm hoping is that you will have found a way to integrate this lost period of your life back into your life in a way that's healing and allows you to feel connected to those people that were part of your life but that are lost. It's really worked for me. I'm very happy now. I just really felt compelled that I wanted to share this. I don't know anybody else that's doing this sort of thing on the internet. But if you've been through this, reach out and let me know what your experience is, because we all have our own unique experience. Thank you very much.